150 million Americans are now using TikTok. The company made that announcement just hours ago as efforts are underway to potentially ban it. Joining us now to talk more about the controversy and what users need to know is David Brinkley. He is the owner and the CEO of a social media marketing company called STN Digital, also the host of the Business Social podcast. David, welcome to the Fort.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Let's just take a 30-second trip down memory lane. I remember during the Trump administration, he was talking about banning it, and now it appears that that's making a resurgence with the Biden administration.
Yeah, so during Trump's administration, he threatened to ban both WeChat and TikTok. What happened was they said you have to sell off the U.S. portion of your company, and they sold to Oracle and Walmart. Microsoft was in the bidding as well, and there was a lot of legal battles, and basically when the administration turned over, it kind of like stalled. So TikTok was not needed to sell at that time. But I think once Biden came in, and now that they're talking more about it, and as it's grown, right, it's so successful in the U.S., now there's a lot of talk about it.
Why so much focus on TikTok for people who are not familiar with the story compared to other social media
Well, if you
companies?
think about it, if you look at the history of social media going all the way back to MySpace and then obviously Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, these are all U.S.-based companies with U.S.-based CEOs. No social platform has ever had this type of success in the United States with a Beijing-based, China-based platform. So 150 million active U.S. users, 5 million businesses are on TikTok. So every social media company that's had success so far has been domestically, and this is kind of new territory for the U.S. government.
And let's talk about this for a moment, because the banning of TikTok, yes, we can understand why different government agencies have said do not download that app on a government device, but a universal ban across the country affecting every average Joe out there, what could potentially happen if you're on TikTok? What's the big scare about?
Yeah, I do think, in my opinion, there's not going to be an outright ban. Like you mentioned, the government part of it makes a lot of sense. But what I think is ultimately going to happen is the U.S. will say you need to sell the U.S. part of your company because we don't maybe trust, or there's a fear of what if the Chinese government requested data from TikTok and they had to turn that over. So I really think what happened back in 2020 will probably happen again. Biden and the administration has said as much, where, listen, you have to sell the U.S. part of your company because at least we then know that the U.S. data is secure domestically here in the United States.
So when people say, be careful, your data is on TikTok and this could potentially end up in the hands of the Chinese government, what data are we talking about for individuals? Maybe people don't realize what's on their phone that could end up.
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, I'm not a cybersecurity expert, but it really is the same for all social media networks where they have access to our data. And ultimately, what I think the biggest difference here is the fact that they are from China, or it's a Beijing base. So in my personal opinion, that's the biggest difference here, the fear of the unknown. And I'll personally say, I have friends at TikTok, colleagues, these are great people, 7,000 United States TikTok-based workers. This is not some ominous headquartered based only in Beijing. This is actually an American-based company as well. So, this Thursday, the CEO will address Congress. He'll try to answer some of those concerns and what they're doing on the data side to just make sure there's security and that's not a threat.
Okay, so in your opinion, though, you don't see an outright national ban. You see the potential for this, at least the U.S. portion, to be sold off.
Yeah, because, I mean, listen, TikTok is worth estimates $60–70 billion globally. It has over 1 billion users. This is a social network that's really, other than Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, has the most users than any other social platform. So if the U.S. portion had to be sold off, I'm guessing, I'm not an economist, but $10–20 billion. So rather than TikTok saying, okay, we'll take our ball and go home, I do think they'll take that profit if it was forced to be sold.
All right, we'll see what happens next.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in and giving us a little bit of clarification about this, because we hear this in the headlines, but what this actually means for American users. Thanks for sort of digging in the dirt.
Of course, absolutely, anytime.
All right, David Brinkley, CEO of STN Digital, based right here in San Diego. David, thanks.
Thank you.
Carla.